Pillar to post and coast to coast, this is The Law.
Live audio wrestling.
Hello, wrestling fans. Dan the Mouth Lovranski here for Live Audio Wrestling and Fight Network, and I am with a true wrestling legend today. Many of you know him as the hardcore legend. For me, though, he's always going to be Mr. Bang Bang, and that is Mick Foley. Hey, Mick, how's it going?
That was, by the way, Michael Hayes' penned theme song, Mr. Bang Bang, from my WCW days.
Do you know that I still can sing the whole song? I know the lyrics. Like, it's literally my favorite wrestling theme ever.
He's not on a team or a
gang.
He's better, Cactus Jack, or better known.
Mr. Bang Bang.
There you go.
That's awesome, man. I loved it. I got to say, I loved your days in WCW as Cactus Jack. How do you look back on that now after having, this long career? Because I know that was kind of a tough period for you.
Well, it was. I mean, it was tough. It was tough in that I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do, but it was great in that it was my, first time making pretty good money, and I got to wrestle Sting and got to make a difference. I got to look at the glass half full. So I was able to work with so many of the top wrestlers of that era and have great matches. A couple things.
I'll never forget that the Saturday night show where Vader powerbombed you on the floor. And at that time, we didn't see a lot of stuff like that. That was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that was, it was powerful to the point where I didn't come get my car out of the parking lot in Atlanta for like 6 weeks. And then when I showed up like with a, like wearing like a full body suit, something over my head, and smoking a cigar through a hole in my mouth. Yes. And people were like, "Cactus, how you doing?" I was like, "How do they know?" And apparently I have a distinctive walk. So I didn't fool anybody.
That's awesome. Now, today we're getting to see you again on TV every single week as the Raw GM. How does that feel, like being back in the thick of things again?
Well, aside from being completely eviscerated by Stephanie McMahon last week, it's been great. I will add, though, she may have completely eviscerated me, but she did point out that I was a good person too, and that there was a job for me in the company if I'm no longer GM. So again, look at the glass half full. But I love it. I love working with Stephanie as my commissioner. I was like an outside the box pick. I think it surprised a lot of people, and I didn't want to just go back to being like the funny, fun-loving Mick Foley, because I wanted to try to create a more, a compelling atmosphere, and there'll be a time for that in the future. But it's been pretty intense. I feel like I'm fighting for my life every week when I'm on there.
And then do you and Stephanie sit down beforehand and kind of run over the ideas for the night, or do you guys just go out there and do it?
Well, it's a combination. We have some. We definitely have some ideas for how we can make the show better, and we talk about them during the week, and then we try to go out there, and you hope that you take your plans and that there's a little bit of magic in the air, and that you create something special. And obviously, it comes down to the matches and the rivalries, but we try to do our part to advance those things.
Yeah, well, the thing that I'm finding fascinating is you're becoming quite the compelling character. Like you said, we're kind of seeing Mick Foley in a role we've never really seen him in before.
Yeah, it's really it's rewarding from a viewer standpoint to see your characters stand up to the authority figures. I don't need this job. That's not how the real world works, And the truth is, like, you don't always get your way, and so you gotta have, there are shades of, there's some, subtle shades of giving in a little bit. I think that's realistic. I'd love to be that guy, and I was that guy up until about 3 or 4 years ago, and then you realize, wait a second, I do perk up every time the 203 area code shows up. WWE is where I want to be, and you have to do certain things along the way they may not have done when you were a younger man.
And I'm guessing it must be a lot of fun in the locker room, because there's, I'm sure, a lot of young guys on that roster that grew up watching you.
Yeah, you find out, through the strangest ways that there are people that grew up looking up to you. I had no idea Finn Balor was a fan of mine until his mom and dad told me so. And then you hear little things like that, that mine was the first book that somebody read, and they're big stars in WWE now. So I try to, I try to treat people with respect, and so that hopefully they'll have, that'll set an example for how they treat people when they get older.
And I just want to get a couple of your thoughts on NXT, because I think it's really amazing the way the WWE's created this whole developmental brand. I mean, a person like yourself, you kind of had to work through the territories still even when you were getting started, and now they kind of have this place where they can learn.
Yeah, it's great in that they build up an audience and expectations there, and yet there's still a place, for somebody to come back, boom, total shock, boom, doing my own sound effects, like AJ Styles and Gallows and Anderson didn't come through the system. So I think it's beneficial to have that the NXT, not only as programming and its own money-making entity that people love, but also as a way to build anticipation for huge stars. By the way, the kid had the best Cactus Jack costume today. He was awesome. Yeah, it's great, so that there's a buzz when Stephanie and I announced Finn Balor as our second pick. I mean, it was like, wow, the roar of anticipation was great, and that's because of NXT and because of what Finn accomplished, for the 15 years of his career.
Does it surprise you how successful NXT has become? Because I'm really quite amazed. Like the show, they're going to do a show here in Toronto in November, and it's pretty well sold out already. I don't think anyone would have predicted that, it'd be like the Blue Jays farm team coming in and drawing 20,000 fans. But when you have guys on the roster like Samoa Joe and Nakamura and Austin Aries, it's hard to consider any of those guys really developmental guys. They're guys who are, finding, their groove, and hopefully they'll be part of the main roster soon. So let's talk a little bit to your other big project right now on the WWE Network, a reality show called Holy Foley. Yeah. We've seen the first few episodes. I got to ask, Mick, reality show? Like what was going through your head? Isn't that intrusive?
Well, it seems a little intrusive, but we loved it. We really did, We had our private time, too, but we definitely let people into our real lives and see real conversations. And I think people, they enjoy the, we turn the volume up a little bit, but you get to see a lot of realities, real moments thrown in there. And some touching moments as well. A lot of people were touched by my visit to the WWE warehouse and my encounter with the Cell. So I didn't feel like it was intrusive. I think people feel like they already felt like they knew me, and I don't think there's so much emphasis on the younger kids that they're intruded upon. Now they complain when the show's on they're not in it enough. I was like, kids, that's by design. You're not supposed to be in it so much that that you're that everyone knows you too well.
So when you were approached with the project, was the family excited, or how did they feel about it?
Yeah, they were. We had some footage out there. It's known as a sizzle reel, and Mr. McMahon saw it. He loved the dynamic with me and my daughter, and he thought it'd be perfect for WWE Network. So it could have landed somewhere else and tried to find an audience, and instead it was like, again, the sound effects, boom, it hit, and they made the decision to, release the first 5 episodes. I think that was a good one, because then people were like, they were just, binging on it and then really loving it.
That seems to be the way people watch TV today. Nobody watches like one episode; they just go and watch the whole thing.
And now they're hooked. And now they're like, I need some more Holy Foley, please, please, I'll do anything for some more Holy Foley. So there'll be more Holy Foley coming soon.
Now, you've accomplished so much in your career, Mick. I mean, is there anything any part of it where you really think, gosh, I haven't done that, I'd like to do that? Because, you've played straight man character, you've done the heel, you've done babyface, you've done in the ring, out of the ring. Like, is there anything that you think, I'd like to still do that? A movie with The Miz, maybe?
Sometimes you look out for the guys that you worked with who maybe don't have it as good, and there's an empty place on The Rock's mantle where an Academy Award should be. And I'm waiting for that phone call for the Buddy film that finally puts that statue where it belongs. So call me, Rock.
All right, Mick, I want to thank you so much for talking to us here at right here.
Right now, I will say, all right, Rock, I'm talking to you. If I find out you're doing a Christmas movie and I'm not in the chair in the red suit, oh, I will hit the stage. I will. I will show up, and I will replace Santa physically if necessary. All right.
All right.
So just that's a threat.
All right, and so great to talk to you right here in
Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Bang bang.
Nice. I got some cactus.